So if you think about Twitter as a storytelling platform, the brevity it requires will change the way that you think about the pacing of the story, also the ways that the depth you can get into and how you achieve that depth. I usually begin with something that just piques my curiosity, something I want to know more about, and something that the writing process can help me figure out.
A writer, if they can't write in a compact form, they really can't write a longer story. By giving a lot of constraints, and you can think of it the same way as having to write a sonnet, right? You have a certain amount of lines you have to use, versus a haiku, which has syllables you can use. And what that does is essentially it forces the writer to have to work harder and be more creative in a way to be able to fit those constraints and have the same story.
When you're faced with just immense blankness, a blank canvas, there's no structure, that is often more intimidating, and what many of us do is give ourselves forced constraints. If you can limit the ways you approach it, it actually can enhance creativity, I think.
With sequencing a story, on Twitter especially, you have, I think, a huge advantage when it comes to a concept of narrative time. So by having one line go through and then you have to wait a moment for that next one, then the writer has that ability to control how the reader is able to interact with the text. We could have several lines that happen very quickly, right? We get a tweet every minute, and then we have a 2-minute pause, and then there's a one-word tweet, right? And so that's going to throw a lot of power onto that one word. I think it's definitely a possibility to find another more permanent medium so that I guess readers can go back to these stories that have happened in the real time of Twitter.
So one Twitter fiction that I've seen take place over a long period of time is The Good Captain. He did archive it in multiple ways. One of those formats was actually a print-bound book. He took the tweets and then put them in a book.
I think in a book that lining up a whole bunch of tweets may be a little bit abrasive, that it seems like you're just getting like bullet fire of one after another, and that it can seem strange to read.
So I think if artists want their content to be accessible by future generations, especially if they're using a medium like Twitter, they need to think of what are the most effective ways of archiving it and still preserving that medium specificity, that experience of reading this in a format like Twitter.